Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cedric Unplugged. I am Cedric LaFleur. I'm your host. I'm excited to be with you this evening. We have a great show planned for you. So, tonight's we're talking about something that impacts every family, every neighborhood, and the future of every child in our community: education. School boards don't just make decisions, they shape outcomes. From what happens in the classroom to how teachers are supported to how parents are heard, leadership at every level matters. So tonight's conversation is not about campaign slogans. It's not about surface level answers. It's about clarity. It's about accountability. And it's about understanding what leadership will actually look like in action. So, joining me tonight is a candidate for Alvin ISD School Board Trustee position number 6, Miss Faynetta Burle. So, welcome, Faynetta.
Thank you for having me, Cedric.
Well, so Faynetta is not just a candidate. She's a personal friend.
Yeah.
In fact, she's my very first friend. We grew up. We grew up literally next door to each other. She lived in the brick house next door, and I lived in the wood frame house next door to her. We played together from an early age. We went to school together. We were at each other's house a lot, and we're still really good friends today. So I definitely endorse her candidacy for trustee position number 6. So let's, audience, welcome Faynetta as we have this conversation with her tonight. So, Faynetta, is there anything else you want to tell the audience about yourself before we get started?
Well, Cedric, yes. So I am a parent of a daughter who navigated and graduated from Alvin ISD. So she is a success student that came from Alvin ISD. I'm also a guardian who that I had guardianship over another child who graduated from Alvin ISD. So I feel like I know the culture, and I want my audience to know my passion behind this. But I am bringing experience backed by education to this position. So, like, I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm all the things, but I'm also passionate about bringing my personal experience, my educational background to this position.
Well, again, thank you for being on the show. I see we have someone that's already saying, "Hey, out there, I think I might know her." Uh, so, welcome, Yvette, to the show. So, Fernanda, let's just dive into the conversation. And audience, feel free to put in if there are questions that you may have. Definitely feel free to do that. So, we want to start off by, really talking about leadership and clarity and accountability in school system. So when you say you want to serve on the school board, what specific problem are you stepping into to solve first?
I think the first problem that I would like to solve is to bridge that gap between the board and the community to make sure that we are very transparent and that we are available for questions, not just when we meet on Tuesday for board meetings once a month, but that those other 3 weeks and those other days out of that week that we are available for the parents, for the teachers, and especially for the students to make sure all needs are met. So I think transparency and being accessible to the community that we serve is very important to me. The second thing, I know you asked for one, but I have to say this. I'm very
Yes.
big on making sure that our 504 students receive the resources and the IEP programs that they need. So I think those are the two things that for me personally that I feel that needs to be addressed the most.
Well, awesome. That sounds definitely good. So, what does effective leadership look like in a school district like Alvin ISD? And give us some real examples if you can.
Right. Alvin ISD is a very large school district. We serve almost 30,000 students. It's really almost impossible to be there for every last one of the students. But I feel like we still need to be present in the community, and not only just in the community where they live, but inside of their schools. If they have programs and they want the board to be there, we should be able to not just show up at football games, but we should be able to go to the plays, the bands, the student awards, the spelling bees. All of those students should feel supported. So we should be present in the community and in the schools, and just be accessible outside of those board meetings for our community, because that's who we're serving. We're serving the students.
Yes.
And to make sure that the teachers advocate for those teachers, making sure that they have the resources that they need, working with the PTO to see if there's some extra dollars going somewhere to get these teachers what they need. So I think leadership is taking action behind your words. Just put those things in action and just showing up for the people you serve. And at the end of the day, it's our students.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that response. And so when as you think about the school district, so how will you make these tough decisions when parents and teachers and administrators all want different things, right? You talk about the students, but you have all these other stakeholders that are there that want different things. So kind of walk us through what that process looks like for you.
For me, listening. I have to be able to be available to listen to all sides, because everybody feels like their position is important. So you want to be able to listen to all sides before you make a decision. I have to keep student success in mind when I make those decisions. I want data. I want research. Those decisions, if it's a tough decision, it has to be followed by some type of research, some type of data that's available. And of course, you want community feedback. You want community impact. But when I make a decision and it's a hard decision and I can't please everybody, my best decision is going to be ultimately what will serve our students' success better. And then I don't mind giving you a what behind the why, like why we made this decision. Although all things was considered, student success has to be at the forefront.
Yeah, I definitely I get that. So, I have a question that it can be a challenging question, but I'm going to throw it out here and
Okay.
let's just talk about it a little bit, right? So, what's a decision you believe school boards often get wrong, and how would you handle it differently?
I think sometimes I feel school boards get wrong. A decision that they get wrong is sometimes making goals or policies without getting the necessary input first, like making
Mhm.
policies or making these decisions without talking to the stakeholders, maybe without getting a teacher, a veteran teacher, an administrator, parents involved before these policies and these goals and these decisions are being made, because that's who these policies and procedures impact: our teachers,
Yeah.
our parents, and our students. So for me, I feel like that they make those decisions without getting the enough information that's going to be impactful.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that response because really what you're saying is that in order to make a school system successful, you have to get everybody that's impacted, that could be impacted, involved in the process. There are going to be some decisions, yes, that you have to make because you're driving the direction of the district without a whole lot of input. But a lot of things you could do better is by getting the input from others,
All
especially
the
the stakeholders.
yes,
Okay.
everybody's decisions. I think we need all the stakeholders before we make those decisions.
Yeah. So, how should a community measure your effectiveness 12 months into your term? So, what does that visibility look like?
What it looks like to me is when a parent can tell me, "Oh, you said you was going to be there for support and you did that." Or a teacher felt like, "Oh, I felt more valued. I felt more seen. I felt more heard because you're on the board." So that's what it looks like to me when I can actually say that they not only they see that you're present, but they feel that they were supported. They feel that they were valued. So that's what I hope the community, the teachers, administrators would have to say about me after my first 12 months, that I feel like she did this. I didn't see it, but she actually made me feel valued. She made me feel supported. She helped my kid. That's some of the feedback that I would like to see within 12 months.
Okay. All right. So, strong leadership sets the tone, right? But the real question is, how does leadership translate into results in the classroom? So, this first segment that we were talking about leadership, now what we're going to do is we're going to kind of transition into education, right?
Okay.
Outcomes and execution, really. So, what are the top 2 or 3 academic priorities you believe Alvin ISD must address immediately?
First one is, I'm big on 504. So I really think that we should close that gap on serving 504 students, not just the 504 students that's neurodivergent or that have ADD or ADHD, but even the ones that have physical ailments, that they should have the necessary accommodations and resources in classrooms. And that's number one. Number two, I feel like that Alvin is a growing district, like they are expanding, and we should be out in the community. And if we're going to do infrastructure, to find out how is that going to affect those that we serve inside of that community. The third thing, I feel like we should make sure that all kids have academic resources and extracurricular activities that's available to them at all times, so that all of our kids feel like they're being supported.
I absolutely agree with your response there. And so as we, think about student success, right? So what does student success mean to you beyond test scores, and how do you plan to support that at the board level?
I believe that we should be able to put action behind our accountability beyond the scantrons, whatever those scantrons are called these days, but they should be able to be measured. So we have this CCMR, is college, career, military readiness. I 100% support that, because I feel like whatever your kid, your student, whatever path that they want to take in life, that high school is where that begins. So if your child wants to go to college, that we prepare them. Not only are we preparing them education wise, but they need to be prepared mentally and giving them some of those extracurricular activities so they can perform well in college. And maybe that comes with some life skill classes that they need to know how to budget a checkbook, how to pay rent if those kids are not going to stay on campus. And for career, you may have some students that don't want to go to college, and that is perfectly fine. JB Hensler has a program where it's our college and career campus. Make sure that when those kids graduate from that program, that they are ready for the workforce, so that they have these industry certified certificates where they could work in whatever field, CNA, mechanic, cosmetology, whatever that field is. Like, we are preparing those students for that. And then military, if you want to go to the military, let's look at how impactful is our education, of our physical education programs, or can this child pass an ASVAB so he can get the job that they want in the military? He or she, not just the guy, but when I say he, I mean females as well. Everybody is included, right? So that all of them are prepared for whatever they want to path they want to take in life. So that's how I would measure that, because it's everybody. Our kids have to be included, and 504 falls into that as well. They can be prepared for whatever they want to do, and that 504, I want to make sure that those kids that's on that 504, that program follows them outside of high school onto college, so that they still can get accommodations. So that's how I feel that we could measure our student success.
Okay, that is outstanding. So we talk about students, but teacher retention is one of those things that's it's a major issue everywhere, right? So
Yes.
what is one actionable step that you would push for to retain and support teachers?
Cedric, I feel like we need Teachers Appreciation every month. You cannot just have one day of teacher appreciation and they spend more time with our children than we do sometimes. I feel like we need to do something more than just give them a salary to make them feel like they are valued and supported. So I personally feel like we should have a program for teachers where in that budget, if a teacher need extra resources, that there should be somewhere in that budget that we can allow for that teacher to get extra resources, because that's still supported, because they shouldn't have to take that money out of their salary. If a teacher comes to the board or to a principal and say, hey, I have a kid, he never bring his lunch, then well, that kid may not have money, because you don't know where the kid comes from their home. I think that we should be able to have some type of resources available so that teacher can support that student, so that teacher is free to do her job and just teach. She shouldn't have to do the administrative work. She shouldn't have to worry about the home life of a child, but they do. So I feel like that's how teachers should be more supported. I have to call you right back. I feel like teachers, that's my own daughter. That's my student, so I have to support her. So I had to answer. But going back to that's how I feel like teachers have to be supported, when they feel like we see them. I understand what you're going through, and this is how I want to support you.
Yes, absolutely. Love that response. And one of my good friends, Kendrick, says that he has a friend that's running for Alvin ISD position number 7.
Oh, nice. Okay, Kendrick. I'm your candidate for number 6.
That's right. So how should the district balance academic performance, student well-being, and extracurricular development?
As a body, it takes everything in order for that to run. So when you are looking at academic achievement, when you are looking at extracurricular activities, all of that play a part in the well-being of that student. Of course, every parent wants their child to do well. Every parent. So academics, that's at the top. It has to be at the forefront. But we have to be able to support the students' mental health. We have to be able to support their well-being. And if they can participate in extracurricular activities, make a way so that child can participate in extracurricular activities, because they may need an outlet also. And sometimes an extracurricular activity is an outlet for a child. So I believe school districts should look at all of that when we're preparing for an academic success for any student, that they go hand in hand to me. Of course, academics is always going to be at the forefront. All parents want their kids to do well. And I get that. I understand that. I also feel a well-rounded individual should have good mental health. We definitely should have access to that in our classrooms, and they should have access to extracurricular activities, clubs, bands, sports, whatever it is. I believe that should be accessible to all of our kids.
Yes, 100% agree with you with that. Now, stay tuned here shortly. I know some of you may not think I know Faynetta, but I'm going to show you that I really know Faynetta. So if a parent asks you, how will my child's experience improve because you're on the board, what would your answer be to that?
I would say that your child's experience will improve because I'm on the board, because I made your child feel supported, loved, valued. I heard their issues, and I wanted to be there to support that. I want your child to feel that I was there, not just what I say, but to feel that I'm actually going to do what I said I was going to do. And that's what I want the child to know. I want that child to be successful because, Cedric, they're going to be taking care of us. So it's very important for me to make sure that I deposit positive nuggets in these kids, to make sure our students are successful. So I want that child to feel like he's valued and supported, or he or she feel like they're valued and supported.
Yes, absolutely. We want them to feel that way. So some of you, you may say, oh, this Cedric just has another guest on his show and he's saying he knows Faynetta, but I want to show you. I know Faynetta, right? So this picture is back from 1984 or 83.
83. Yeah, 83.
Yeah, 83. So this was at the Delta Debutante Ball, right? So you can see I've been knowing Faynetta a long time. That's not a Photoshop picture.
That is not Photoshop. That is my aunt's wedding dress. Yes.
So see, in education, you have to have fun. You have to be willing to have
Yes.
fun, right?
It's been a long time since I had dark hair.
Yeah, and the Jerry curl that I had is compliments of Faynetta's mom.
Right. Forgot about that.
So, you know, education doesn't happen in isolation, right?
It does not.
It's connected to families, to trust, and the community as a whole. So now what we're going to do is we started with leadership, then we went into education. Now we're going to transition into community, trust, and engagement, right? So what does meaningful community engagement look like beyond meetings and emails and phone calls?
Again, being present. You have to be present in the community. I think people feel your vibe, and they want to know who is representing them on the school board. So again, it to me, community engagement is just being present in the community so people can trust you. And people tend to navigate around people that they know, like, and trust. And the only way that they get to know me or like me or trust me is if they know me. And they can't know me if I'm sitting behind a board or if I'm just answering emails. So I want to be face to face with as many people as I possibly can. I want them to know me. I want to be in the community. I want to answer the tough questions because I want them to know this is not going to change. Once I get on the board, this is who I am. So this is who's going to be representing you. So I feel like I have to lead from the front and just be present in the community.
Yeah. So if you're just joining us, we are talking with Alvin ISD board trustee candidate for position number 6, Ms. Faynetta Burle. And we're asking you, Faynetta, you have to tell me what's the date of, for them to go out and vote?
Absolutely. So early voting is April the 20th to the 28th. That's when I really need for you to vote. April the 20th to the 28th. Voting times is going to only be from 8 to 5. So we have to have a very strategic voting plan to vote between 8 to 5, starting April 20th to April 28th. Election day is May 5th or May 2nd? May 2nd. May 2nd is election day. May 2nd is election day. And that one is going to be from 7 to 7. The best thing to do is get your vote in early.
Yes, absolutely. So let's keep going here. We're talking in the community space. Okay. So how will you ensure that all voices, and I'm going to say that again, how will you ensure that all voices, not just the loudest, are represented in board decisions?
I think we have to do more listening than talking. And we have to, one thing that I like to do is look at somebody's body language or just seeing their facial expressions. And I think sometimes that those that don't say anything, that it's okay for a board to say, hey, I feel like you might have something you want to address or something you may want to say. Am I correct? I could be wrong, but at least asking if it's something that you wanted to address and being accessible to be able to do more listening than talking before you make a decision. So I feel like when people are being heard and they feel like you really care about their decisions and the things that affect them the most, that makes you more impactful. And then I can engage more when I know more. So sometimes I may just have to dig a little deeper for some of those questions or concerns to come out. I take that responsibility on, not just assuming, but asking the questions.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. So what's one way that the district can rebuild or strengthen trust with parents right now?
Transparency. Oh. I think that we could be more transparent. A lot more transparent in understanding everybody's culture. And I think the way that we can just build more trust with our parents and our teachers is to be more transparent in that we can actually attack the issues that affects them the most.
Yes, 100% agree with that. I see Kendrick said, hey, that's facts.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah. So how do you plan to stay accessible once elected? You know, once you guys get elected in office, y'all go into this some office somewhere we never see you until it's election time again. So
Don't put me in that category. Don't say y'all. But I get it. I understand that. So if I heard you correctly, the question was, how will I plan to stay more visible?
yes.
Okay, so by doing the same thing I'm doing now. So here's the thing for me. So well, you know that I'm a business owner, right? So when I first started my business, I had to get out in the community. Like, people don't know me. I had to get out. I had to network. I had to build my name. I had to build relationships. I had to do all of that. So it's the same thing that I'm taking to this board. Once this election is over, that's when the job starts. This is just, I'm in the interviewing process right now. I haven't gotten the job yet, but when I get the job, that's when the work starts. So it's being even more in the community. It's showing up at the schools. It's being accessible for the teachers, being a voice for the students, a partner for the parents, an advocate for those teachers, being all of those things. And it sounds like a lot, but those are the things that I want to do to stay accessible and to stay engaged in the community.
Well, that is awesome. And one thing I know about Faynetta, she is always out in the community somewhere. I mean, I get tired seeing her post. I have to go take a nap because I'm like, I'm tired because she's everywhere.
Yeah. So same thing. That's my character. I'm bringing the same thing to the board.
Well, that is outstanding and awesome. So I want to do a little bit of a transition again, right? So we started off talking about leadership, and then we transition into education to understand what are some outcomes and what execution looks like. And then we moved into community, right? Showing, dealing with trust and engagement. And that community piece is where people tend to get connected with their elected official, right?
Yes.
So now let's kind of bring it all together, because at the end of the day, it's about impact. So what actually changes is what we're going to be diving into doing this segment. I call it impact and vision, right? So at the end of your term, what are 2 or 3 measurable outcomes you want to be able to point to and say, this is the change that we made while I was serving?
One, I want Alvin ISD to say we closed that 504 gap between the parents, the teachers, and the community, that we actually closed the gap with our 504 students, and they're being better served. And we're not separating them. They're still in the same classroom with every other student. I want them to say that. The second thing that I want them to say is that she was present. She was present for our students. She returned phone calls. She returned emails. Those are the things that I want them to say. I want them to say that she's a board member that we actually had access to, not just on Tuesdays for board members, but when we called on her, she made time for us. That's what I would like for them to say.
Okay, I really do like that, and I think that the citizens of Alvin ISD will appreciate that as well. So, what does success for Alvin ISD look like 3 to 5 years from now, and what role does the board play in getting them there?
I think success looks for Alvin ISD is to make sure that, again, that when we have our ratings, that every year that we can increase our ratings at least by 1 or 2%, that we're actually doing better. We're serving these kids better. And I talked about the CCRM, the College Career Military Readiness Program, that we have, that our numbers, even if it's just 1 or 2%, that we are meeting those goals to make sure that our kids are prepared for life or whatever path that they're taking after that. Secondly, to make sure that we can keep, Alvin is growing. We are growing. We cover a lot of mileage to make sure that we can keep up with that and still keep our students here. What I don't want to see happen is what was happening in HISD or in FISD. I want to keep the student enrollment high in Alvin ISD so we can maintain the students that we have here and service them in their community. They shouldn't have to leave to go find education elsewhere. We should be a strong enough school district to where we can meet the need of every student where your mom and your dad, they're paying taxes in this area, so you should be serviced in this area. So I want the students and the parents to see, oh, that is an impactful, measurable difference that we could make within 3 to 5 years.
Wow. Okay. So what's one issue that you're willing to take a strong stand on, even if it's unpopular?
504. Definitely. Our 504 students. Now don't get me wrong, I will service all students.
Sure.
But if I had to answer one issue, the issue would definitely be 504 students. My daughter was a 504 student. I'm not afraid to say that. She is not embarrassed because of that. But I know what it took as a parent to have to navigate that system for her. And, people it's a lot, because some people, I may talk about 504, and even on this campaign journey, some people are like, what is 504? So just educating those that are not in that industry with 504, so they would know what that means. It's not, you can get in an accident and break your arm. I don't want that to happen to anybody, but then
Sure.
you qualify for 504 because you need some different resources, or you need some different accountabilities. I just want to educate everybody on that 504, what it looks like to support a parent, show up to an IEP if I can, and have those kids supported to make sure that they can get the resources and the accommodations in high school and beyond. So that would be an issue that I would definitely want to take on.
Okay. Yeah. And you've mentioned 504 several times, and there may be someone in the audience who doesn't understand and know what 504 is. So you want to take some time to educate them on what 504 is?
Sure. And I also want to be clear, just because I'm big on 504 doesn't mean that I'm not going to support every other student. I will
Sure.
support every other student. I just happen to be passionate about that because that is my background. But 504 is for those students, any student that is neurodivergent. You may have those kids that are autism, your ADD students, dyslexia students, ADHD students, all of those students that need extra help in the classroom. It has nothing to do with intellect. They need some extra ADD and dyslexia has nothing to do with intellect. But those fall under 504, but those kids need some extra accommodations in the classroom. That's part of the educational part where it can fall under mental. Now, the physical part of that, like I said earlier, if you get into a car accident and now you can't carry your books because your arm is broken, you fall under 504 because you need some accommodations so that you can be successful inside of the classroom as well. Any student, any school that is receiving federal dollars have money for 504 and for IEP programs. And they should have access to those resources. Testing should be available. And another thing, so that's what 504 is, like in a nutshell. Mm-hmm. Parents sometimes feel reluctant to get their kids tested. I was one of those parents, and in all transparency, I was, because I did not want my child labeled. But after I did my own research, labeling was not a bad thing for her, because labeling got her what she needed at the time she needed it the most, the resources, the support that she needed. Now, we don't even worry about labels anymore because she had the accommodations that she needed for her to be successful. And that is what I want parents to understand. The kids, we as parents, we're more concerned about the labeling and the testings than the kids. The kids just need some help right now. Right. I mean, Johnny is out of hand right now, but we don't want to get him tested because we're afraid of the labeling. No, get him the help that he needs right now. So the next 2 or 3 years, we won't be in the same situation that we're in now. And now little Johnny he's flourishing because you got him the help and the support he needed. And that's what I did as a parent. So I just want to share my story and be that type of support to other parents.
Yes. Well, thank you for sharing that and helping those audience members who might not understand what 504 is. And I know that you said it right, that parents are the ones that are more afraid to mention it, bring it up, and all of that type of stuff than the child is. And if you're a parent listening to this live or in the replay, right, definitely think about your child first and don't worry about any labels or whatever you have any hangups on. if your child needs that extra help, trust me, they will appreciate it if they get it. They're going to thrive better if they get that extra help that they need as well, and not necessarily worry about a label or what someone else will say. Because what you're going to find out eventually is that no one else is saying anything. It's all in your head.
That part is true. Yes. Yes. And teachers want the testing because, a teacher can't diagnose. They can't diagnose. So, but they want the testing so they can better service and they can better teach your child. And that's just the way I looked at it.
Yes.
I just wanted what was best for my daughter.
Yes, absolutely agree with that. So why should voters trust you to not just represent them, but deliver results for them?
I think they should trust me because, again, I'm very transparent with my story. Very transparent. I'm very open. I'm approachable. So I feel like they should trust me because, it's easy to say, oh, I'm going to do what I say I'm going to do. But people need to feel that, not just hear that. People need to feel supported. So I feel like they need to trust me when they get to know me. And because I'm bringing education experience, my personal experience to this board, to me, that speaks transparency. I'm being very transparent about my background. So I feel like because I'm sharing that, and it is the God honest truth, well, it is the truth. Not, I don't want to impose my values on anyone, but that's my truth, and I'm sharing that. So you get to know me and my truth, it makes it a little bit easier for you to trust that I am going to support your child. I am going to be a voice for your child. I am going to be a partner for you. I will advocate for teachers who is in the same situation as my daughter teachers. That is what I want to do.
Sure. Yes. So, we've talked a lot about leadership and education and the community and the impact that you're going to make. One of the things we didn't do, and I did, that was intentional, was to not let you share your background with people in terms of what you did in your career. And then what are you doing now, right? Because people need to understand that, community service or serving others is a part of your background and what you do right now, right? Absolutely. So let's share with the audience about your career and what you're doing now.
So what I'm doing right now? So right. Actually, what I'm doing right now, I am a business owner right now. So I service those individuals that are really homebound. I have a home care agency where we send caregivers, personal care workers inside the home to take care of those who can no longer take care of themselves. We help them with all of their ADLs. I also am a group home owner, almost like an assisted living facility. So if you can't take care of yourself, then we have a place where we can give you a place to stay and still provide you with that dignity of being able to live with minimum assistance. So we still help people. They are seniors now. But I've always just been in the industry where I have been helping people. Even that's what I did now, but I'm retired. And even when I was working before that, I worked in the juvenile justice system, helping those navigate that system. I worked as a clinical therapist, helping kids that was coming out of the juvenile system transfer back into the public education system, making sure that their needs was met. And a lot of them needed help. Some of them had resources, others didn't. So I've always been in a position where I was making an impact and helping our community. So it looks like I went from the babies to the seniors.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. And so we're talking to Faynetta Burle, who is running for Alvin ISD Board Trustee position number 6. We're going to share with you the dates for early voting in just a second, but I want to make sure that you understand who you're voting for. And then I also want to let Faynetta tell you when to go vote so you can help her win position number 6.
Yes. So early voting starts April the 20th to the 28th. Early voting, April 20th to the 28th. There is only 5 voting locations in my area. Voting hours is 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So we have to be very strategic in making a plan to vote, because if we still work like some of us do, you have to plan from April the 20th to the 28th to get to the polls between 8 and 5. Election day is May 2nd. Voting times for May 2nd is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. But I am asking you for your support. And I am asking for you to vote for me between April 20th and the 28th, between 8:05 and 4:55. Pretty much the times. Yes, that's really that's correct. April the 20th to 28th.
And I put it on the screen so that in case someone is listening to the replay, they can get those dates and write those down as well. If you know someone in Alvin ISD that needs to register to vote, they may need a ride to the polls, right? So make sure that you help people get out to vote for position number 6, the lucky number 6. Make sure you get out and vote, right? We have a segment here that we call Rapid Fire. It's our Leadership 10. So we keep this fast, fun, and revealing. One word only, quick hit answers, right? So there's no explanation. Here's the answer and we keep it moving. All right. So Faynetta, are you ready for a rapid fire?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're going to get going with rapid fire here. So morning person or night owl?
Night owl.
All right. Data or instinct?
Data.
Tough decision or popular decision?
Tough decisions.
Lead from the front or empower from behind?
Oh God. Empower from behind.
All right. Book smart or street smart?
Book smart.
I believe that everybody from Louisiana is street smart.
Okay. I had Magnum as a father. And the oldest girl, you wasn't going to be on the street with him.
Listening or speaking?
Listening.
Structure or flexibility?
Flexibility.
Long-term vision or short-term results?
Long-term vision.
Collaboration or accountability?
Accountability.
One word that defines your leadership style?
Consistency.
All right. I absolutely love that. So I have one extra one for you. What's one word you hope people never use to describe you as a leader?
I hope they never say I'm complacent.
Oh, I like that one. Well, thank you very much for playing rapid fire or participating in rapid fire for us. So before I transition to our close, I'm gonna say one thing and then I'm gonna give you an opportunity to have some parting words. So this has been a conversation with Faynetta rooted in clarity, responsibility, and vision, right? And that's exactly what leadership in education demands. So make sure you get out to vote April 20th through the 28th, and make sure you vote in Alvin ISD for position number 6.
Yes.
All right. So Faynetta, I'll give you some, an opportunity to have some parting words before I close out the show.
Okay, sure. So those in the audience that are listening, I am asking for your support to vote for me as your next Alvin ISD School Board Trustee, position number 6. What I didn't mention is that I do have a master's in counseling and education, and I also taught at Manville High School in their dual credit program. So not only am I bringing education to this board, but I have been in the classroom and I have taught. I've spent over 23 years, like I said earlier, in the juvenile justice system as a lead officer and as a clinical therapist, helping transition those kids from the juvenile justice system back into the public education system. Apart from my daughter, as a Alvin ISD success student through her 504 system. So I'm bringing education. I am bringing experience to this board. And as a business owner, I am very strategic in budgeting, policies, procedures, and in planning. And all of that is important because that is what your board does. Your board is responsible for that school budget. They're responsible for the policies and the procedures. I have that background. So I am a well-rounded candidate for this position, that I am bringing a lot of experience to this seat. So that is what I want my audience to know, is that I'm bringing the education as well as the experience, and I'm okay with having those hard conversations, and I am 100% okay with making the decisions that is going to best service our students.
Yes, absolutely. Alvin, ISD board trustee position number 6. Make sure you get out April 20th through the 28th and vote for Faynetta Burle. So, leadership is not about titles. It's not about outcomes. It's about decisions that impact classrooms, teachers, families, and futures. So tonight, you've heard the vision, the priorities, and perspective. But ultimately, leadership is measured by what gets done, not just what gets said. To our audience, stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay invested in the future of education in your community. Make sure you go out and vote for Alvin ISD position number 6, because when it comes to our students, average is not an option. This is Cedric Unplugged. And as always, we raise the standard. Thank you guys and have a great evening.